welcome to the 60th episode of Impact Media Presents. I'm Kelly Redmond, your host, and so grateful that you are coming back to join us for 2 days of the haves and have-nots, the finale, and the cast reunion, part 1 and 2. Today, I'm so excited to have some special guests with me who were in the studio audience at the finale screening and the cast reunion, along with fans that will be popping in throughout the evening, sharing their experiences, their reactions to the finale and the cast reunion, and the end of an era, the end of a phenomenon, the phenomenon that was 8 seasons of the have and the have-nots. So I'd like to introduce you to Patricia Jeter, who was with us in the studio audience at Tyler Perry Studios, along with Yolanda Singleton, and also Georgia Zachary, who's joining us from California.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello. Can you tell us where you're from, Patricia and Yolanda?
Well, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Right here. And I don't live
And I'm from Jackson.
From the Tyler Perry Studios.
I'm from Jackson, Mississippi.
That's where my from.
And I'm from Los Angeles, California. My family's from Belize.
Thank you so much for doing it. So I want to start off by talking to Patricia and Yolanda, who were there on set that very long day in July. Tell us a little bit about how you got there and tell us your relationship to the show. Patricia, let's start with you and then we'll go to Yolanda.
Well, I have a friend named Imara who sent me a note and asked if I was a long-term fan of the show. Of course, the answer was immediately yes, because I've watched, I think, practically every episode from the beginning all the way to the final, which was so dreadful and hated to see it go. I just thought it could keep going and going. So that's how I got to the show. But my experience being in the studio was really phenomenal. It was so good to see the cast in person. And of course, so many of them look just like they did on TV. Not much difference. And their interactions were so different, of course. So that made a big difference, because in the show, they were angry with each other or having these tiffs, whatever, back and forth.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see them all on an even keel, liking each other in the studio. It was fun. It was a long day, but it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And Imara is incredible. Imara was my intern in the mayor's office in Atlanta in 1994, dating us way, way, way back. But very, very special. And that's how I found out about it as well. And he joined us last night and shared his experience and connection to the show. And so grateful that he invited you to come today. So thank you so much for joining us. Yolanda,
Sure.
tell us about your connection to the show. How long have you been watching? You know, what got you to the studios to be there for the final cast reunion and the finale screening?
And, anything that they produce automatically draws my interest. So they automatically get my attention right off the bat. And with the have and have-nots from day one, it's kind of like one of those good books that you start reading and you just can't put down. It was like that episode after episode, season after season. You literally could not wait until the next show, the next season. Here in Jackson, we would have conversations about the have and have-nots. I mean, it was like, girl, did you see? What do you think is going to happen next week? So it was it was just show after show and season after season of that. And I have to tell you, getting there, I got the invitation from Amari as well, such a dear friend. And to get there and be there, just to be on that powerful studio, I'm telling you, the experience was phenomenal. There was an overwhelming that approached us as we entered the gates. I mean, you could actually, we were just overtaken by the essence there alone, and to see the names on the different studios that were there. We actually filmed in Will Smith's studio, which was studio number 3, but we saw Oprah Winfrey studio and Denzel Washington and John Singleton, my last name, and Spike Lee and Halle Berry and Miss Cicely Tyson. Oh, it was just amazing. It was amazing. The staff there was so professional. He was on point. Hats off to each and every individual that had a part in putting that event on that day, because it was a great, well-organized event.
Absolutely. It really was phenomenal to be there and to see how far he has come from this. And
Yes.
Imar heard yesterday, this was his 3rd studio. And that he bought, part of a military base. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I am going to introduce Georgia Zachary, who is a fan based here in Los Angeles.
Hi, everyone. So I will say the show, there's so many twists and turns. Like, you never knew what was going to happen next. So it's like, how can you not tune in for the next episode? It just kept me on my toes and feet every time. Like, what are they doing next? What can they possibly do next? So Tyler's so creative and so amazing. It just really, like I said, kept my attention the whole way through.
So what was your reaction to the actual finale? I mean, we were there watching it live, the 3 of us, and we were among the first to see it. And tell us what you thought when you were there, when you were watching it, and let's share a little bit about what the experience was like being in the room with the others who were experiencing it and seeing it for the first time and ahead of everyone else.
I'll say, I was not surprised that Hannah ended Jim Cryer's existence, because he had been so terribly mean. But some of the others were shocking. I was so surprised to see Catherine Cryer get killed, and so tragically, even though I did understand the source as to the reason, because that was a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
They had not, that incident had never been justified. So anyway, that was still a shock, though, for her to be killed the way she was.
And wasn't that voted the most tragic and most surprising and shocking of, because they had us rank what was the most shocking and the most surprising of all of them. I know that's the one for me. And to me, it was like a lynching. And I was like, that was just really ironic how they.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I think with Wyatt, everybody expected that. I mean, that was like a no-brainer. That was a dead giveaway. It was like, we knew that was going to happen. Benny was sad. The way that Benny was just gunned down. If they had gotten a real fist fight, that would have been like, okay. But to just be like gunned down like that, set up and gunned down, that was really shocking and surprising.
Just meeting his son because you're just on this emotional, like, oh wow, he's getting to meet his son, and he he was hard at first, and he warmed up, and it's like as soon as he had a moment, then all of a sudden, now it's over. This is crazy.
Correct.
No,
But now I have to say, and I put this up, this question up in the air when we were at the studio. Is Veronica really dead? Like, we never really saw her face when she walked out the house. The housekeeper she had begun to like have her dress like her, the girl, that kind of thing. So is Veronica dead, or was that the housekeeper? And even when she was on the ground, we never saw her face.
Are you?
I'm not convinced that Veronica is dead. Veronica's smart. She's very smart. So I wouldn't be surprised. And she had been forewarned just prior to, right before the guy left. He told her, you got people that's after you, So
right. So why would she go out there?
Yeah. I'm going to pause you for a moment. I'm going to let Georgia speak because we're having a little bit of feedback, and I want to make sure we can hear her input too. All right. Tell us what your reaction was.
So I don't see her being dead either. And I think Hannah killing Jim was the best thing that could happen because he needed that. And then I love the fact that she's the executor, so he's pissed off about that. So definitely enjoyed the final scenes.
Absolutely. So in this show, Angela, who plays Veronica, and Crystal, who plays Hannah, actually had some conversation about, well, is she really dead? Are they coming back? Is there going to be a spinoff? Some of those seeds were planted. So what do you guys think about a potential spinoff? I'll start with you, Patricia.
Well, I had questions about David as well, because theoretically, if he had gone out of the house through the garage, it's possible he could have sustained injury, but not death. And he had just left. Mm-hmm. So that's a question. And I also question Veronica's death, because she had been setting this lady up to be killed in her place for a long time. Mm-hmm. So, and of course there's Hannah, and Hannah has her new grandbaby. So it's possible. And then, Jim tried to get David to make moves on Hannah. So now if it's just Hannah and David left, what may happen?
Now that's an interesting twist. So do we think we should start a campaign to write in for for this spinoff? What do you think, Yolanda?
No, I have to agree with Miss Patricia on this one, because that, those are my thoughts exactly. I really think that, there's a strong possibility that David was just injured because he had exited the room and possibly could have made it to the garage. And like Miss Patricia said, only sustained injury. So I think there's a great chance that there could be a spinoff. Somebody's got to, there has to be a family to raise that beautiful baby, that beautiful grandson. And even with him, look, I was just taken away by how much he actually looked like Benny.
Yeah.
It was like, Benny, there's no way you can even deny this baby, So, and then I want to know, we got to find out what Hannah's response and reaction would be when she learns of her son's death, because she still doesn't know that he was killed. So that's a possibility as well. She only knows about her daughter.
Absolutely. I'm going to get some feedback from Georgia. 1 second, Georgia.
I love what Patricia said about Hannah and David getting together, because so many people underestimate her, and I think they would make a dynamic duo. And I agree with Yolanda, that baby does look exactly like Benny having sex with that girl in the bathroom at the club. So I think there will be a spinoff. Hopefully there will be.
I think that potentially have some say so. You know, over 1 million showing up every week for 8 seasons. So I think the power it could reside, you know, with the fans and those who've been true to the show for all those years. Because after building up such a loyal audience, I can't imagine just kind of leaving them that way. And with so much potential for more. So we will see. We will see. And I thought it was interesting, if anybody else noticed, Tyler didn't come on to say goodbye. So that's another thing. Because I kept expecting, I thought he was going to be at least on video. So if he didn't say goodbye, maybe it doesn't mean goodbye.
That's true.
And then I think, you know, Hannah being the underdog, we need to see her, you know, now that because she has everything now, everything. Let's see how that girl work her magic. Yeah. We need to see.
Right, how the have-nots became the haves.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a good one.
You know, my competition love this show. And when I go to her, she talks about it all the time, and we've discussed it over the years. And she said today, she says, well, what do you think she's going to do with all that money? And now Benny just bought a house and he's not there. And Candace still has the 8 million. So Hannah will get that. Mm-hmm. So Hannah's going to end up with all the crier money and from both sides. So that would be very interesting.
I agree. I think it will be a Hannah spinoff, 100%.
Okay, ladies, we have another fan joining us. I'd like to introduce Miss Sheila Powell. Sheila, how are you? It's
I'm
great.
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you share with the studio audience where you're tuning in from?
From Stockton, California.
Thank you so much for joining us. So we were talking about our reactions to the finale. Would you like to share your thoughts about, you know, when you watched the finale and what reactions you had? What was most shocking to you? What would you like to share? And about just the thought that the show may be ending. Although we've all been having our conspiracy theories about not really believing that the show is completely over and that the characters, that Hannah and potentially Veronica and maybe David, you know, may still be with us. Just tell us what you're thinking, where your heart is today as it relates to the show, the have-nots potentially.
Well, is this the haves and the have-nots?
Of course, that's what we're talking about.
Okay. Oh, okay. I, unfortunately don't watch the show. I did in the beginning. And, I believe Empire and, some of those other shows, Greenleaf, I was kind of watching those. So.
Okay. So, yes, this is what this show is specifically about, the haves and the have-nots. Okay. Did you watch the finale or any of the others?
I did not. I'm teleworking from home, so it's kind of hard for me to pull myself away from the computer.
I appreciate you coming to support the efforts. We have somebody else coming from the studio because this is all about folks who watched it, been a part of it, but appreciate, your support. Yeah. If you want to tune in to watch the discussion about it, you can do that on Facebook or on YouTube. But thanks for
what I'll do is I'll go to on demand and watch it. And
what would you say, ladies, to those who haven't seen it yet? Is it worth going back and watching from the beginning?
She's Mr. Treat.
Oh,
Just
I
get
love
all.
Tyler Perry, so
Yes.
I mean, I support him. So I'll definitely go back and take a look at. And I think Kelly, you were in the finale. You were in. You
Yes,
were. Yeah.
actually, Patricia, Yolanda, and I were all at the finale and the
Oh, okay.
and the cast reunion. They recorded. We saw the screening of the finale and then did the 2 tapings of the cast reunion.
Okay.
But I appreciate you for joining us, Sheila. We've got some more fans who are in the studio audience that I'm going to
Thank
bring.
you.
Please tune in on YouTube and or Facebook and watch the show. And
Thank
I'm
you
sure
for inviting me.
conversations. Thanks so much. Okay. I would like to bring up now, we've got Misha joining us from New York, and Dr. Corliss Bennett is back from yesterday, joining us from Atlanta. I mean, not Atlanta. I do that all the time because I live
Hey,
in Atlanta. And
I
then,
wish I was in Atlanta too. Hi, everybody. Representing Los Angeles on the West Coast. Hey.
Corliss.
Yolanda.
Georgia
Like
said,
your hair. Hi, Georgia.
Hi, Corliss. You don't remember me.
yes, yes. We're getting a little bit of feedback. So I'd like Misha to start and introduce herself. I'm having to control the mic a little bit because we're having some audio feedback. Misha, can you share with us how long you've been watching the show and what your thoughts were about the finale?
Oh, I've been watching it from the beginning. And the finale may have brought tears to my eyes.
Yes.
Because of the fact that it was just something, that really hit home. I mean, like hit everybody's house. And it was really nice to see all of us playing major characters and major parts in such profound shows such as Tyler Perry's. And then to see that it was all in Atlanta as well. And then, but one of the main things, like what really hit home was just the ending, how everyone had to make an exit and knowing that it was no more. But I tend to believe that Miss Veronica's not gone yet. Just saying. Just saying. But that's what I got for right now.
Yes, there are many of us. I don't think, show of hands, who believes that Hannah, Veronica, and David are still around and could
Not
still be
David.
around?
not David. David blew up with remember they were all right there.
They were all right there.
David is definitely dead. But Veronica, Hannah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had a healthy discussion around that. We won't pick that back up. But so what I'd like to do is shift. We talked about the finale. And now let's talk a little bit about the cast reunion and some of the stories that were shared, the camaraderie that we witnessed, the love, the family relationships that they established. It was when Patricia, Yolanda, and I were in the studio audience, it was so emotional throughout those several hours of taping that we went through to get to the show that you saw. I mean, when I watch the show and I see my face, I'm like, oh God, my face is not really showing how I was holding back tears. I was looking salty. I was like, oh, but I was trying. There were so many points that I was like crying and trying to fight back the tears. So ladies, let's talk about some of the moments that touched you the most as you were watching the cast reunion. Let's start with Patricia, Yolanda, then we'll go to Georgia, Misha, and Corliss.
Well, the one part that really got me was when, oh gosh, I'm losing names. It was the son had to kill the mother. I mean, stab the mother, and their reaction to that.
Yeah.
And he was saying how Jeffrey had to stab Veronica, and he was saying how he wanted to be sure she was not going to be really dead. And that was very touching. So, and you could tell the relationship was very, very amicable and definitely not like what we saw on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Yolanda, you got to unmute yourself.
Angela shared that her mother had just recently passed. Her mother passed in June. And I was able to relate with her. That was very emotional for her, but the cast members, particularly Crystal, came to support her during that time. My father passed in June, a few days after her mother passed. So I don't know if you realize, but there were like 15 of my friends there from Mississippi who was on the day that we filmed that show. It was 1 day, 1 month from the passing of my father. So they came with me to support me during on the first month anniversary of my father's passing. So I felt I was so able to relate to what she was saying, feeling loved and supported by her cast members, just as I was being loved and felt loved and supported by my family and friends that were there with me. So it was a great way and a memorable way that I spent the first month anniversary of my father's homegoing.
First of all, let me say, so sorry for your loss. I actually have been in a position where I've had some recent losses, and friends that were close by that also were suffering some recent losses. And that actually really, really hit home, for me, as well. And I mean, I was crying. So, I mean, I was just wiping, the camera didn't catch me, but it was like every bit, it was like wiping the tears. It was so beautiful to see how close they had become, how close knit they had become as a cast and a family, and how they supported each other, going to each other's weddings, traveling overseas, being there, funerals, it was just, you felt like a part of the family being there. I know I did. It was
and that was the term that they used, family. They used the term family.
A lot.
Yep, they did.
They did. So I would like we'll go to Georgia and get her reaction on, and Georgia, have you had I know you were trying to watch some of the cast reunion. Did you get a chance to see any of it? Okay, I'm going to unmute you in just a second.
Yes, I did get a chance to watch it, and like everyone said, the clear example of when friends become family. And I think, when they're on camera, it's like they're like true villains, but they're on stage, you felt the love that they had for each other. So it was very amazing.
We can't hear you, Kelly. Can't hear you, Kelly.
Were there any moments that moved you, witnessing kind of the closeness of the cast, or, moments from the reunion, some of the stories that they shared? Can you unmute yourself, Nisha?
Oh, it was towards me. I didn't hear you because you were muted, so I didn't hear. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
I asked what had moved you as you were watching the cast reunion. Were there moments, stories that, really touched you?
Oh, well, pretty much, yeah, but quite a few of them. I mean, the relationships, the friendships that they had all built together. Of course, you're talking about the losses and how they all came together. And then just also how they just how they came together, and then how they're going to miss each other. How, like they said, they're so used to coming around every year, and then now they're not going to have another year. And then, but one of the main things that really got me too was Miss Veronica was talking about how the fans, or how she's always defended the character, and how they were always saying crazy, oh, you crazy. And that's something I can't stand when people say about me either, because I'm not crazy, you know. And I'm like, just being a strong woman, and like she said, being a powerful woman and done evil and do, you know, money and all that, but then you're going to call her crazy. She had defended that, but then of course after like the 6th or 7th season, she was like, well, maybe she is a little crazy. So that was a powerful one too for me. So it was nice.
We talked about that last night. Someone pointed out, well, it came up in the conversation, but clearly to have been and done some of the things that she did, there had to be some mental health issues going on. They said, well, isn't it quite interesting that they own mental health facilities? And she was a so that was an interesting point. So, Corliss, why don't you share what your reactions were to the sentimental part of the cast reunion?
Okay, I'm having computer problems. I'm trying to switch from my iPad to my laptop, so I'm trying to do.
You're all good, girl.
Yeah, you could totally tell. I mean, anytime you work a year with somebody, you know, a month with somebody, 6 months with somebody, you know, every day, and especially with them acting and having to rehearse and redo something over and over, or whatever the case may be, that's something. But to be with somebody for 8 years, you know, I'll be with a group of people for 8 years, you could totally tell, like I could see that they were being sincere. And like one of the ladies said, you know, for her to have lost her dad, and then for Hannah, I'm trying to remember folks' real name.
It was Angela.
Hannah, Hannah came up and was just like, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Just knocking outside your door. Just dropped out I'm outside your door. And she didn't say that, but I mean, I could just see her, you know, being right outside the door and thing. But I do have a different comment about that cast situation. What I hated is that we didn't get to hear from everybody, and everyone didn't have a little mini spotlight. That's the only thing when I see these reunion shows, you know who the main characters are, but I wanted to hear from Wyatt. Like, even if they showed that one scene of him acting a fool, shooting up his daddy and them, even if they just gave it 5 minutes so that we could hear from him and his particular scene that he liked, or Jeffrey even. I didn't recall Jeffrey. I mean, Jeffrey was a major
They actually did it in 2 shows, so they couldn't cover everyone in one show. You have to watch part 2.
I saw both of them. So did I miss something? Because I saw Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I did see Jeffrey say thank you to the cast, but I didn't see them highlight him in a scene. So now I watched both shows. So maybe I'm losing my mind. They had each of them. I saw it.
They did highlight. Oprah did a tribute to each of them individually, and they did highlights of them.
Okay, well maybe
because and that's okay. You can go back and watch.
Crystal and everybody else, and I mean I watched both shows, so I just didn't feel like everybody got their just due. But I guess I really don't remember the Wyatt piece.
Well,
maybe
Wyatt
dad.
Wyatt actually introduced his mother because she was there in the studio when they talked about him. And Jeffrey came into the audience and hugged the lady because she became so emotional over the fact that he had talked about coming out. And so
I did see that. You're right. And she said it took 25 years or something before her mom or something. Okay, I did see that. I must have missed Wyatt. I must have walked out the room and got me something to eat or something. So, okay. That might be it. Okay, looks like I'm trying to enter the other. Let me in, Kelly, so I can get off this iPad, please. It's bugging me. But let's see if I can.
So I'll remove you and bring you back.
Okay, I'm gonna leave here.
But Kelly, I wanted to add one other thing, because I don't think this made the cut, but they were talking. The cast members were talking about how each time they had a near-death scene, they all would show up to be there just in case there was that cast member's last scene.
Yes.
And they supported each other. You know, usually in most workplaces, your job is your job. If you get fired or lose your job, that's on you. You know, other people aren't usually there to support you. But they talked about that. They talked about how emotional that was and how they would cry, not knowing if that person was going to return, and how Tyler Perry said, "Hey, I'll tell y'all when you need to cry," you know. So that was good too. Just to know that they really were supportive of each other, even when they didn't have to be. You know.
Yes. Patricia, is there anything else that you would like to share about what you experienced live at the studios?
Well, I just thought it was a wonderful experience to be there with the cast. You know, audience, those of us who had watched the show, we felt a kinship. I felt a kinship with the actors. And so it was good to get to say hello in person. And it was so good to hear their perspectives on the various scenes and the interactions. The whole experience was just wonderful. I thought it was a very fitting way to end the show.
Yes, I did too. Yolanda, what else would you add in terms of the experience of being there live during the show? You're still muted. You have to unmute yourself because you muted yourself.
Okay. There was so much energy and excitement in that room. And the cast members made sure that the audience felt included. I mean, not just felt included, they made sure they included us. They said, hey, come on, let's take a group picture. Let's take selfies. Let's, you know, and they didn't have to do that. They could have been like, y'all over there, we over here, up here. We'll holler at y'all later. But they did, you know, and just like how you said, Gavin came out into the audience and, you know, he hugged, he embraced somebody that was going through something. So, you know, when he embraced Shauna, that was like real. So, man, the whole experience was so, like they say, just so amazing. Everything. You know, even the mothers, Tia's mom and Aaron's mom, even they were, you know, they were cool. Everything was cool. And the DJ, oh my goodness, he was jamming. I mean, like at one point, it was like, forget the countdown, the film, and let's cut up a minute, because he was like, the music was on point. So it was a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun, and they kept us going.
Yes,
they really did.
Warm. They were very accessible, very humble, very grateful. You know, when they were going around and giving their one-word description, it was like every single one of them just broke out into tears. I don't know. I didn't get to see the whole show getting prepared for this one at the end. I don't know how much they got to show, but they said one word, and the one word turned into 10 minutes for each of them in terms of, you know, telling their story and connecting and celebrating each other and celebrating the fans. I mean, they were very, very adamant and very, you know, there were heartfelt words of encouragement for and appreciation for just having the love, you know, from everyone for all of those years. They did not take it for granted. It was really, really beautiful. I would like to ask if Georgia, Misha, and Corliss have any questions of those there.
I don't have any questions, but I do, like Kelly said earlier, I appreciate how they appreciate their fans. So the lady that had the watch parties for all 8 years, I mean, that was amazing. And for them to just recognize her meant so much. I mean, even when Benny gave her that hug, you could feel that it was a real hug. So even the fans, became family.
Absolutely. What was also funny is the man who had his wife, who was saying that, the wife was like, every Tuesday I knew where he was. He was with Hannah and she didn't care. I thought that was pretty funny. We were cracking up on that one.
Yeah.
And
that was an excellent one. I enjoyed that very, very much.
Yes, that's the safest way to surrender your husband.
Exactly. Every Tuesday.
What I liked about that was she still asked the lady permission. She was like, "Are you okay, Miss Ann?"
Yes.
Whatever her name was, she asked her permission to make sure that was okay.
Absolutely. Total respect.
But I wanted to ask you guys, I know you told me how it felt, the energy and everything else. And of course, like you said, Yolanda, how the cast made you guys feel welcome too, because usually when you're in that kind of setting, they would just kind of be separate. No, you can't go here, you can't go there. So that was pretty cool that they did that. And then at the end of it, how was it? Like that's what it was. They were just taking pictures and just talking to each other and talking to all of you, all the fans and everything. So
they actually walked to us and began to mingle. And like she was saying, taking selfies and telling the photographer, don't just take our pictures, take the audience pictures. These are the fans that kept the show going, kept us busy. And so they stood in front and had the photographer to take pictures.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one thing I'm going to say about this show. The cast, they really, really honored their fans. They truly did.
They did.
Yes, they did. And that's why it's
Did anyone talk about future plans?
The only future plans I can recall is the wedding that Tika's going to have personally. But in terms of, I don't think they shared anything about.
It's two weddings, I think. Or did somebody already have a wedding? It's two weddings.
He got married. Catherine flew to his wedding, right?
In Italy. Got married in Italy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Tika them already married though.
You could possibly be right about that.
Yeah.
That is possible.
That was kind of interesting though to see how well, of course they met on set, but when it was kind of funny when Tyler Perry asked Wyatt, "Who you been kissing?" Tika.
Exactly. That was too funny. Yeah, and he knew exactly what was going on. I can only imagine.
Exactly.
What would you say to Tyler Perry after, seeing all of this, seeing the finale, the cast reunion? If you had the opportunity one-on-one to say something to Tyler Perry, what would you say? We'll go Patricia, Yolanda, Georgia, and then Misha.
Well, I would just tell him that I thought it was a great production. I just couldn't imagine anybody thinking that much evil. Especially somebody who appears to be so very, very nice, so giving and humble. But like they say, every one of us, somebody in the cast said it too, every one of us has a little of that in us. So I guess that's how it's done. But no, that's what I would say. That being as he is or appears to be, that he could think so deep and come up with all that treachery.
And it's not like he doesn't have 5 other shows going on at the same time and other films and all of this. It's just absolutely phenomenal. It's, I would say to Tyler Perry, one, thank you. When everyone has a story and, his story is so inspirational. has been so inspirational, to me. Now, I started a nonprofit. We're here on our platform, Impact Media and Entertainment Coalition. I used to believe that it was, and I still believe it's important that we share our positive, uplifting, triumphant stories around, our culture, our people. But over the years, especially the past 10 years that I've lived in LA, I've learned how it's important to show us, as fully well-rounded people with flaws, our flaws and all. I feel that mainstream shows our flaws and concentrates on them, so we don't necessarily have to highlight them. But I think that showing us in our fullness is important. I've appreciated over the years and leading up, to this show and some of the others. I really am enjoying Sisters and even the Oval as well. He has motivated me to tap into what's possible. And when I hit, moving to California, as a single mom, not having a job, and I didn't become homeless, but I could have been without family support. And to know that, when you're at your lowest, you can't go any further, and you have to dig deep to find the strength within you to pull yourself up and to pull yourself out and to tap into whatever your purpose is. I came with a mission and a purpose, and what he's been able to do has definitely influenced what I see as a possibility for me, my daughter, who's an aspiring actor, and everyone else. So I just think he's so inspirational, and I'm just so grateful for him making the sacrifice. Because can you imagine all the time that it takes? He clearly does not sleep. He clearly does not spend as much time with his family. He clearly, has sacrificed himself in order to tell our stories and to keep us entertained and engaged and to teach us things along the way. And the lessons are there. And so I thank him, and I thank the Oprah Winfrey Network, especially over the recent years, now that they're doing a lot of original, creative Black content. We have to lift them up. We have to support them. And when I say them, Oprah, Tyler, and our Black content creators that are really on the path of encouraging us and uplifting us, even in the fullness of our whole stories. I do have a problem when we take our true stories and twist those so that those actual people are not recognized. But when we are dealing in fiction, and we can. So I'm going to bring Dr. Corliss back in. So next, Yolanda, did you go yet in terms of what you would say to Mr. Perry? I don't think so, right?
No, I would say two things. I would ditto what you said, because everything that you said was dead on point. But I'm gonna switch it to a little lighter side, okay? Man, where you find all them fine men? Because like each and every one of them, it was like a bowl of M&Ms, baby. Just pick one, any color works. So definitely gave you the spice you needed on Tuesday night, So he did a heck of a job doing that. But I would also want to just, tell him that he does a good job of remembering where he came from, because like Tyler Benny said, this is his first acting gig. Like, this is his first time, and to land a role that's like this major. For Tyler Perry to say Tyler Perry picked me and I had no experience, I mean, like, I think he was a fitness trainer, personal trainer, to now you are a leading actor for Tyler Perry. Come on, y'all. That's called teach one, reach one, right? That's amazing.
Absolutely.
And he's changed someone's life forever.
True.
And we talked about
that's
last
phenomenal.
night. He's revived the careers of our legacy actors who were not getting opportunities for many decades.
Lots.
And gave, infused life into their careers in addition to discovering new talent. He's a game changer. He is a game changer, and we're so grateful. Georgia, what would you like to say to that?
I would say thank you, Mr. Perry, for your courage, because it does take a lot. I mean, just for his vision to purchase his own studio, he had to soak in probably everything that he had. And what if it wouldn't have worked? So he said, I'm going to do this. I have the fortitude. I'm going to make sure that my people are taken care of. So I want to thank him for employing all those actors and actresses, because like Kelly said, they wouldn't have had, any work. So it's like he's put food on their table for all these years and many more years to come. And his studio is not something that's a small, like acres of studio. So he's done an amazing job. So I definitely want to thank him for that.
Yes. I know you said a little something yesterday, but speaking directly to Tyler Perry, unmute yourself and let us know what you would say to him today.
Yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, nobody, a lot of people, some people don't like him because they think that his plays and things are like buffoonery or whatever. And I've been hanging with Tyler Perry, and for those who know LA in any way, in any shape or form, the Wilshire E. Bell was the spot where all the black plays took place, because we couldn't do the one in Hollywood, the Pantages, and we wasn't rolling to the one in Century City, whatever the name of that one is, I can't remember right now. And so he started off in that Wilshire E. Bell, and now he's been at the Paramount. He's been in Hollywood several times now, and he knew how prejudiced white Hollywood is. They're trying to do a little bit better, and I appreciate their efforts. But he was just like, you know what? Y'all not going to stop with this dream. I'm going to do my own thing on my own property, when I want to, how I want to, with whom I want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. And when you have somebody like Oprah Winfrey, who in her eyes said, I'm going to start my own network because it's not enough of us on TV. I'm assuming that's what I'm going to assume that's what she was thinking. I'm going to have my own network. Then I can do my own shows. I can interview who I want, when I want, where I want. And then bring in Tyler and say, hey, why don't you come in and start a show? Or why don't you do this? And I knew, I've always thought that Tyler Perry was funny. All the Medea, all the go to jail, come to Christmas, boo-hoo, boo-too, whatever. But I knew that he had, sorry, y'all, I live in Inglewood. That's the fire. I have a station right down the street. Hold on, let me just let it. Okay. I knew when I knew he had like true talent, and I was like, okay, this man can really make some movies. And it was the movie with the two white women that went across country. Was that his movie? Do you remember what I'm talking about? It was
I know the movie.
Kathy Bates was in it. And it was a movie with her and the sister, and they went across country because one of them had cancer and she didn't want to tell anybody, and they went across. It was his movie, y'all. Come on, no, you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay.
He's talking about the haves and the have-nots, Corliss. So
okay, yeah, but I'm just saying that's when I knew that he could produce a drama. Whatever that movie that I can't think of right now in my mind, I knew that when he kind of did that crossover movie where he had white characters in, whatever that movie was, I was like, okay, that was good. And then he had another one where, again, that dramatic acting and things were happening. And so then when COVID hit, because I unlike you guys, I didn't start watching. I didn't watch it till last year. I binge watched it. I started with episode 1, and that was my treat every night after doing Zoom meetings. I came back. I was like, ooh, I'm getting to bed at 7, so I can watch at least 3 episodes before I fall asleep. Because I'll watch the TV, and then the TV will watch me, right? So that's when I found out about it. And I was just like, I could not wait to either get home or to be able to get in my bed or sit on this couch to see at least 3 episodes, 2 to 3 episodes a night until I got through all of them. And then it was just like, now what happened? And then all of a sudden it's like they brought it back, and then I knew that it was over, and I was just so sad because, you know, I compare it. I said this yesterday, but you guys weren't on. The dramas that we grew up in with Dallas, Dynasty, Knox Landing, and all those different things kept you hanging. I mean, if you guys can recall the Who Shot JR era, right? JR got shot in the final finale in May. We had to wait all summer, and then September starts, and it still took the whole season before they let us know that it was Sue Ellen, right? And it's just like, okay, you know, and that was like the thing, I guess. Tyler Perry don't play that. You get shot today, we're going to find out tomorrow if you're alive. Or we're going to find out if you're in the hospital on a ventilator, Benny, right? We're going to find out right away. There ain't this wait until you, you know, except when he started doing these mid-season things. That kind of made me mad. So, Tyler, stop doing mid-season things. Let the thing play out and then start over with the next season. Because that's hanging like that. But I appreciate the fact that he can do dramas and everybody can see he can do dramas. And I would love to be able to see him be recognized and get some kind of Oscar for something. It's coming. And he's going to put something so powerful together that nobody can even deny. They're going to have to say, you know what, we got to nominate him at least. And that's
definitely worthy. Thank you so much, Corliss. We talked about White Hollywood. White Hollywood didn't come along out of the goodness of their hearts. They came along because Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey and other Black content creators demonstrated that Black programming was possible. And they demonstrated that that's really what they've been most concerned about. And then when, after George Floyd, everybody got hit with needing to do something about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're glad we are where we are and moving forward. Misha, if you could say something to Tyler Perry, what would you say? And then we're done, ladies. I appreciate you for hanging. So Misha,
I would say I love you. I thank you. I appreciate you. You have welcomed us in your great, brilliant mind, and you have put jobs and put money and put food on people's tables. So, ashe.
Yes. Ladies, I cannot thank you enough for spending this hour with me, Yolanda and Patricia. We've shared about 12 hours. We're going to add 13 for today. Celebrating the haves and the have-nots. It was truly a treat to be there, to be with you today. You know, I think we should start a letter campaign. What do you think? You know, bring Hannah, bring Veronica, bring David. See if we can revive. We might be able to revive. Some more. He's creative. So, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. And for those who are not watching already, you know, tune into Sisters, tune into the Oval, Ruthless. You know, there are some other ones that he's doing that are also very captivating, you know, as well. So thank you so much, ladies. You have a wonderful, blessed rest of the week. And please continue to stay engaged with me and Impact Media. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us 2 days in a row to discuss the haves and the have-nots, to allow the fans to say farewell, to show the appreciation for the cast, responding to the cast reunion, the finale. We're just so grateful for Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, the Oprah Winfrey Network, for entertaining us for 8 seasons with the haves and the have-nots. And we look forward to what's coming in the future. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.